Have you ever caught yourself walking into a room and forgetting why you went there? Or maybe you find yourself searching for simple words that used to come easily. Conversations décollées de mon effort. Names don't come to mind as quickly. You read something, then realize you have to read it again because your mind wasn't fully there. And perhaps the most confusing part is this. Your doctor says you're healthy. Your blood tests look normal. You're sleeping reasonably well. You're still active. So why do you feel mentally slower even when you're healthy? If you've been asking yourself that question, you're not alone. Many adults over 50 quietly worry about these changes. Some immediately fear dementia. Others simply assume it's just getting older. But what if neither explanation tells the whole story? Because feeling mentally slower doesn't always mean something is seriously wrong. In fact, there are several hidden reasons why your brain may feel less sharp, even when your overall health appears perfectly fine. And understanding these reasons can make all the difference. Let's talk about them. Your brain isn't broken, it's overloaded. One of the biggest misconceptions about aging is that slowing down automatically means decline. But sometimes, what feels like decline is actually overload. Think about how much information your brain processes every single day. News, texts, emails, social media, family responsibilities, financial worries, doctor appointments, remembering passwords, managing medications, keeping track of everyone else's lives. Your brain never truly gets a break. Over time, this constant stimulation creates mental fatigue. And mental fatigue doesn't always feel like exhaustion. Sometimes it simply feels like, I can't think as quickly. My mind isn't as sharp. I'm forgetting things more often. I feel slower than I used to. The brain, much like a muscle, performs differently when it's constantly under pressure. And surprisingly, this can happen even when you're physically healthy. Stress changes how your brain works. Many people think stress means feeling anxious all day, but stress often becomes quieter with age. You may not feel panicked. You may simply carry ongoing concerns. Perhaps you're worried about retirement, a spouse's health, your own future, adult children, grandchildren, money, the state of the world. These low-level worries may never fully disappear, and your brain notices. When stress hormones remain elevated for long periods, memory and concentration become less efficient. You may find yourself losing your train of thought, misplacing items, forgetting names, struggling to focus, feeling mentally sluggish. And because these changes happen gradually, many people blame age when stress is actually playing a major role. Poor sleep doesn't always mean bad sleep. You may say, but I sleep 7 hours every night, and that's wonderful. But sleep quality matters just as much as sleep duration. As we get older, deep restorative sleep naturally decreases. You may spend enough time in bed but still wake up feeling mentally foggy. Signs of poor quality sleep include waking up tired, needing caffeine just to get going, feeling mentally clearer at night than in the morning, forgetting small details, having difficulty concentrating. Even mild sleep disruptions can affect memory and processing speed. And because this develops slowly, many people don't realize sleep quality is quietly affecting their brain. Your brain needs movement more than you think. Physical activity isn't only for your heart. It's one of the most powerful things for your brain. Movement increases blood flow. It delivers oxygen. It supports connections between brain cells, and it helps clear waste products that accumulate over time. Yet many adults become less active without noticing, not because they're lazy. Life simply changes. Retirement arrives. Routines shift. Energy decreases. Long periods of sitting become normal. The result? The brain receives less stimulation, and this can create feelings of mental slowness. Even a daily walk can make a remarkable difference. Because the brain thrives on movement, chronic inflammation can affect mental clarity. Inflammation isn't always obvious. You may not feel sick. You may not even notice it. But low-grade inflammation becomes more common with age. And inflammation doesn't only affect joints or muscles, it affects the brain too. Brain inflammation has been linked to mental fatigue, difficulty concentrating, brain fog, slower thinking, memory complaints, diet, sleep, stress, and physical inactivity all influence inflammation. Which means lifestyle factors often have more impact on mental sharpness than many people realize. Multitasking makes everyone slower. Here's something reassuring. Your brain probably isn't slowing as much as you think. The world around you is simply demanding more. Many adults over 50 grew up in a world with fewer distractions. Today, we're constantly switching attention. Phone notifications, television, background noise, multiple conversations, too much information. The human brain wasn't designed for nonstop multitasking. In reality, multitasking doesn't make us efficient. It makes us mentally exhausted, and exhaustion often feels like mental decline. The solution isn't pushing harder. It's simplifying, doing one thing at a time, giving your brain permission to slow down. Ironically, slowing down often helps you think faster. Loneliness affects brain health. This is something people rarely talk about. Human connection matters more than most people realize. As we age, social circles naturally change. Friends move away. Retirement changes daily interactions. Children become busy. Loved ones pass away. And loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated. Research consistently shows that social connection supports cognitive health. Conversation stimulates memory. Laughter reduces stress. Meaningful relationships activate different parts of the brain. Without enough connection, mental sharpness can suffer, not because something is wrong with you, but because the brain was never meant to function in isolation. Nutrition matters more than ever. The brain uses enormous amounts of energy, and what you eat influences how clearly you think. Skipping meals, eating too much sugar, not drinking enough water, deficiencies in vitamin B12, vitamin D, or iron. All of these can contribute to brain fog. Many adults are surprised to discover that simple nutritional issues can mimic symptoms they feared were signs of aging. Sometimes mental slowness isn't about age at all. It's about giving the brain what it needs. Your brain is processing more experiences. Here's something fascinating. Older brains often process information differently, not worse. You have decades of memories, experiences, knowledge, lessons, relationships, responsibilities. In some ways, your brain has a larger library to search through. Think about a huge bookshelf. Finding one book may take slightly longer, but the collection is far richer. You may not recall a name instantly, yet your wisdom, judgment, and understanding often become stronger. Speed isn't everything. Accuracy, perspective, emotional intelligence. These are forms of intelligence too, and they often improve with age. Fear can make memory worse. Sometimes the fear of forgetting actually causes more forgetting. You misplace your keys. Then you think, what's happening to me? The anxiety increases. Stress hormones rise. Your attention narrows, and suddenly, memory becomes even worse. This creates a cycle. Forget something, worry about it. Stress increases. Forget more. Worry even more. The truth is, occasional forgetfulness is normal. Everyone forgets names. Everyone loses their train of thought. Everyone walks into rooms and forgets why they came. Young people do it too. The difference is that after 50, we often interpret these moments differently, and fear itself can amplify the problem. Your brain needs recovery time. We live in a culture that values productivity, but the brain requires downtime, quiet, reflection, rest, nature, silence, moments without stimulation. Unfortunately, many people spend every waking hour consuming information. Television, phones, News, social media. Even when the body rests, the brain keeps working. Eventually, mental fatigue appears, and fatigue often disguises itself as mental decline. Sometimes the brain isn't asking for more stimulation. It's asking for less. When should you talk to your doctor? Feeling mentally slower occasionally is common, but certain changes deserve medical attention, especially if you notice getting lost in familiar places, difficulty managing finances, trouble following conversations, repeatedly asking the same questions, major personality changes, severe confusion, rapid worsening of memory. These symptoms shouldn't be ignored because early evaluation matters. And many conditions that affect thinking are treatable. Never assume it's just aging. Always discuss concerning changes with your healthcare provider. The good news most people never hear. Perhaps the most important thing to remember is this. Feeling mentally slower does not automatically mean your brain is failing. In many cases, your brain is responding to stress, poor sleep, overstimulation, lack of movement, loneliness, inflammation, mental fatigue, or simply the normal changes that come with having lived a full life. Healthy brains don't always feel fast, and fast thinking isn't the only measure of a healthy mind. Wisdom matters, experience matters, perspective matters, compassion matters, the ability to understand life deeply matters. These qualities often grow stronger with age. So if you've been worried because your mind doesn't feel as quick as it once did, remember this. Slower doesn't necessarily mean broken. It doesn't necessarily mean dementia. It doesn't necessarily mean something terrible is happening. Sometimes your brain is simply asking for something we've all forgotten to give ourselves. Rest, movement, action, peace, and a little patience. Because growing older doesn't mean losing yourself. Sometimes it simply means learning that your mind deserves the same care and kindness you've spent a lifetime giving to everyone else.
Before we conclude, a quick reminder. The information shared in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this channel. Your health is your most valuable asset. Treat it with the professional care it deserves.